If you're a married federal employee under FERS and your spouse is not a Fed, this is a big deal. If you died first, what paycheck would your spouse actually get from FERS? So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what your spouse gets under each FERS survivor benefit option so you can protect them without giving up more of your pension than you need to. My name is Tom, I'm a financial planner, and I help federal employees retire with confidence and on their terms without guessing. So most married federal employees I work with do not like making big choices that they can't undo. And the FERS survivor benefit feels just like one of those choices. You sign the form, you retire, and then you and your spouse live with that choice for the rest of your lives. So if you feel nervous about picking the wrong one, don't worry, that's very common. It just means you care about your spouse and you want to get this right. Now, when I say overpaying, here's what I mean. You overpay when you give up more of your pension each month than you really need to, just to keep your spouse safe. Because you're essentially buying protection for your spouse with part of your pension check, right? If you buy way more protection than you need, you might feel like money is tight every month while you're both alive. And if you buy too little, then your spouse may feel stressed and lost if you pass away first. So for you, which one feels worse? Paying too much now and feeling like money is tight every single month, or your spouse not being okay if you pass away first? And of course, there's no wrong answer here, but knowing your real fear will help you use the checklist I'll talk about later. Now let's walk through the main choices you may see on your form in simple terms. Then I will give you a quick number example in a little bit. So first is no survivor benefit. If you pick this, your pension check is the highest while you're alive. But if you die first, your spouse does not get a FERS pension check at all. And in many cases, if you choose no survivor benefit, your spouse also loses access to your FEHB health insurance after you pass away. Second is a smaller survivor benefit, commonly around 25%. Your pension check is cut by a smaller amount each month. And if you pass away first, your spouse can get a smaller check for the rest of her life. Third is a full survivor benefit. Often around 50%, your pension check is cut more each month, but if you pass away first, your spouse can get a larger check for the rest of their life. So the key idea is the cost of the survivor benefit is how much your own monthly pension is cut while you're still alive. The benefit is the check your spouse could get after you pass away, and often the right to keep FEHB into retirement. So let me give you a very simple made-up example so you can see the trade you're actually making. Let's say that with no survivor benefit, your first pension would be $3,000 a month. Maybe the full 50% survivor option cuts your check by 10% while you're alive. That means your check is about $2,700 a month. And in return, if you pass away first, your spouse might get about $1,500 a month for the rest of their life, and they might also keep FEHB. With a smaller survivor option, your cut is smaller, your spouse's check is also smaller, and your numbers will be different, but this is the main idea. You give up some of your check now to buy a steady paycheck for your spouse later. Now, I want you to stop thinking about the form for a moment, and let's picture this in real life. Here's the important question. If the federal employee died in the first 5 to 10 years of retirement, what money would the non-federal spouse have coming in each month? When I sit down with couples where only one person is a federal employee, we look at things like this. What FERS survivor benefit would the spouse get, if any? Would the spouse keep FEHB health coverage if the federal employee passed away? What Social Security would the spouse have on their own? And later as a widow or widower, how much is in the TSP and other accounts? And who is going to handle all the withdrawals and investment choices if you're gone? And so how comfortable is the non-federal spouse handling all the money decisions on their own? And in my experience, this last one, it's very important. I've met with many couples where one person is the money person and the other is not. When the money person is the federal employee, cutting the survivor benefit too far can leave the non-federal spouse with a money job they never wanted. Now picture your own life for a second. If you died 5 years after you retire with this choice in place, would your spouse feel comfortable or would they feel stressed and lost? And I realize this is a hard thing to think about, but it's better to play it out now in your head while you still have options. Now, I want to give you the 5-step checklist I use with couples who are stuck on this exact decision. You might want to come back and write this down later, but for now, just stick with me. So step 1, what your spouse gets under each choice. So take out a sheet of paper. At the top, write "if I pass away first," and on the left, write 3 lines: full survivor, smaller survivor, and no survivor. And for each one, write what your spouse would have in steady income if you passed away. This can include the FERS survivor check, Social Security, any pension of their own, and any other steady income from rental properties or any other investment accounts. Step 2, what your spouse must pay each month. On the same sheet, list the basic bills the surviving spouse would still have. Things like the mortgage or rent payment, utilities, food, car, gas, health insurance, maybe any loans that you have. Now, under each survivor choice, look at the income lines and the lines with your expenses. Does the steady income cover the must-have bills, or is there a gap? Moving on to step 3, how much you want to depend on savings. After that, look at your TSP and other accounts. With a higher survivor benefit, the spouse may not need to pull as much from savings each year. With a lower survivor benefit, they may need to pull more from savings to fill the gap. So ask each other this: if one of us is on our own, do we want more of our monthly money to be steady and automatic? Or are we okay taking more money from savings and making those choices each and every year? Step 4 is health insurance and taxes. For many federal couples, the first survivor choice is tied to the non-federal spouse keeping FEHB after the retiree passes away. If FEHB is important to your plan, be very careful with the 0 survivor choice. In many cases, no survivor benefit means no FEHB for the spouse after you pass away, and that can be a very big deal in retirement. Now, there's also taxes, and they matter a lot here too. A survivor benefit is taxable income. So will many of your other income sources. You want to make sure the surviving spouse is not forced to pull a lot out of all the accounts all at once just to pay the bills, and then you end up getting crushed and pushed into higher tax positions. So take a step back, look at the picture under each choice, and ask your spouse, with this option, if I passed away early, could you sleep at night? Would you be okay? And if the answer is no, that's a sign you might be trying to save too much on the pension and not giving your spouse enough support. If the answer is yes, and the numbers work, that's a good sign the choice fits your situation. And by the way, on my Federal Retirement Blueprint calls, this is the kind of page we build together. We plug in your real pension, your TSP, Social Security, and survivor numbers so you can see this on the screen instead of just guessing, but I'll talk more about that later at the end of the video. So let's jump into a simple example that's very similar to the couples I've worked with. Here we have Mark, he's 60, a FERS employee. He planned to retire at 62, and he had about $1 million across his TSP and IRAs. His wife is Linda, she was 58. She worked part-time. She would have Social Security at some point, but no pension of her own, and she was not very comfortable managing investments on her own. Now, at first, they planned to choose no survivor benefit because the cut to Mark's pension for the full survivor option felt really big, and they liked the higher monthly income while they were both alive. When we walked through the checklist, we saw a different picture. If Mark passed away at 68 with no survivor benefit, Linda would lose his whole FERS pension. She would likely also lose FEHB. She'd be able to take the higher Social Security benefit between the two, but to cover the bills, she'd still have to pull a lot from the TSP and other accounts right away. She would also have to make all the money choices on her own, and to her, that felt pretty scary. Then we looked at the full survivor benefit. The cut to Mark's pension still felt big with this one, but if he died early, Linda would have a steady FERS survivor check for the rest of her life. She would keep FEHB, and they would not have to rush to pull money out from savings in a bad market. So to her, this option felt a lot safer. It meant she could stay in their home and not turn her whole life upside down if he passed away first. And in the end, they chose the full survivor benefit. For them, the extra peace of mind for Linda was worth the monthly cost while they were both alive. Now, that will not be the same for every single couple. I've seen other couples with strong pensions on both sides and large savings and outside retirement accounts, and they choose a smaller survivor benefit and feel completely fine with it. The key is that they walked through the steps and made a clear choice together that fit their numbers and their comfort level. In my experience, there are a few times when a smaller or even zero survivor benefit might work and be okay. One is when the non-federal spouse has a strong pension of their own and strong Social Security on top of that. Another is when there are large savings outside their retirement accounts and the spouse is very comfortable managing investments and their withdrawals, or you already have a clear plan with someone you trust. A third time a smaller survivor benefit might be okay is if both of you are sure you will not keep FEHB for the survivor and you already have other health coverage that's lined up. Now, on the other hand, cutting the survivor benefit is usually very risky when three things are true. The non-federal spouse has little or no pension of their own. Most of your savings is inside the TSP and IRAs, and that spouse is not comfortable managing those accounts alone. And keeping FEHB for the survivor is a big part of your retirement health plan. So if you're in that second group and you're still tempted to cut the survivor benefit to save money, I would suggest you slow down and think through your options. The real trade here is pretty simple. Is the small raise you get each month worth the stress your spouse might feel if they end up alone with less income and having to take more decisions? Now, of course, there's no single right answer here. It all depends on your numbers, your health, and how each of you feels about risk and responsibility in retirement. So if you're sitting there thinking, I would love to see what our numbers would look like, that's exactly what I built the Federal Retirement Blueprint for. It's a free call where you plug in your FERS pension, your TSP, your Social Security, your FEHB, and your taxes, and we map out what your retirement paycheck could actually look like. So when you're ready for one-on-one help and would like a personal walkthrough of your own numbers, click the link in the description to schedule your Federal Retirement Blueprint call, and I'd be happy to help. And if you want to keep learning, I would suggest you watch my video here on FEHB and Medicare Part B next, because health coverage is a big part of the survivor choice. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.